Yet life is short, time is limited. But the question is, are we focused, are we mindful of every single task we do, every single action we take, and also with every thought that arises in our mind? So this is a question for you, but before we talk about mindfulness and mind wellness, we do have a very, very special person to be introduced. Well, he is Ranesh Senanayake, a psychologist, NLP coach, practitioner, and mind wellness founder, and also is an IT consultant from the United Kingdom. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's indeed a privilege to have you with us, Ranesh. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You seem to be a multifaceted person.
Yes.
Your introduction spans to different areas.
Indeed.
So tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So I was born in Sri Lanka, and I grew up in a Buddhist monastery with the directions of my uncle, who's a priest, who's Reverend Parakadwi Saranankaratero.
Right.
And I moved to UK when I was 12. And then I had fascination for IT. It was very rare at that time, and that kind of got me kind of studying in IT, and did my master's in information systems. Then I was exposed to personal development by a guy called Tony Robbins.
All right.
Yeah, he's the pretty much world #1 personal development coach, and I went to his seminar in 2006, and that kind of opened my eye and my passion for psychology, and to help people. He's a great human being who likes to help millions of people. Absolutely. And at a mass scale. And I basically studied NLP and timeline therapy and hypnotherapy after visiting that course, and because I want to kind of help people. That was the intention, and I found that that's my passion. Although I was in IT, helping people is my passion, and I was pretty good at using some of the NLP techniques to get rid of people's pain from their past. So I've been kind of helping people through recommendations, but I want to actually share some of those techniques that work for me and for others with Sri Lanka and the world, really, because I think using those techniques people can manage their own emotions and prevent them from doing something that they regret. So that's the purpose of.
All right, I think what's more important, I think, for everyone out there, the viewers, I think it's important that you explain what NLP is about, because you're an NLP coach and practitioner, so it's good for people to know what NLP is all about.
Sure. So NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Neuro means the nervous system, linguistic language. Programming is like using computer programming concept. So using language, you can program your nervous systems and emotions attached to it, so that you can change your experience. And it is the study of human excellence by two founders called Dr. Richard Bandler and John Grinder. They started in the early 70s. And they studied the expert kind of psychologists at the time, and they found out what works from their techniques and came up with like a modeling system, and they put all those techniques together and called it NLP. So there are various ways of using NLP to advance human excellence. So success and failure is basically a thought pattern and human behavior, and they studied that and they found it very successful. So they teach it all around the world, and it is a technique that everyone must learn, because if they want to take charge in their life and their destiny, these techniques will definitely help. Mm-hmm. It should be taught in every school, but it's not at the moment. But so my kind of goal is to share some of those techniques with Sri Lanka and help them to manage their feelings.
Well, yes, that's very important because in the present day world, we see that emotional intelligence is something that's lacking with people.
Definitely.
And because of that, a lot of conflicts happen amongst people of different age groups.
Yes.
And I think this is one important aspect, like you rightly mentioned, that needs to be inculcated in people to create a better world.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you would tell us as to what these NLP techniques are and
Yeah.
how it can be actually used
Definitely.
to work on emotional intelligence.
Right. So I kind of adopted NLP techniques and with my experience and call it emotional NLP techniques, and I basically developed 3 techniques. The first one is called the picture changing methods, which means that when you get angry or emotionally heightened, sometimes it's triggered by an image in your head, because you don't react to the actual reality, you react to your interpretation of reality, and this interpretation comes in the form of a picture sometimes. So, for example, if you get angry and sometimes when you think of your anger, there's a picture that comes to your mind. So the first technique is talking about changing that picture, and when you change the attributes of that picture, like the colors, the size, you change the emotions attached to it. It's like a foundation of a house. If you change the foundation, the house must fall down because it's built on it.
So it's more or less like going to the root cause.
Correct, correct, and
Right.
it's very fundamental in its nature, and you got to think that the way your mind works is our interpretation is created by the information we receive from our senses. So your touch, your smell, taste, colors from your eye, and then all these are used to create your memories. And if you don't like the way you feel, change the attributes of your memories, and you'll instantly change how you feel. So I want to give you a taste of that using this first method called the picture changing method. The second one is called the circle method. So I created this because without, like, sometimes you get emotional without a picture triggering it, and in NLP we call it anchoring. And this method is very simple, and it's a way of getting rid of the feeling that's painful to you without thinking about it too much. It's very simple techniques. And the third one is a kind of emotional neutralization methods, and that's basically, I will go through that. It's in 4 steps, but when you understand what the method is about, it's very easy to apply it on any emotion, whether it's painful or kind of so what you see here is the emotional neutralization method. So in that concept, what you have to understand is when you feel anger, the first thing to do is not to analyze the anger, just trying to think of why you get angry. The story you tell yourself, you got to stop that, because in order to manage this feeling of anger, for example. So the first thing is to stop analyzing the anger. Second thing is to think of like anger as an energy, right? So all these emotions that we feel inside us is really energy. It's made of energy. So if you see the emotion as energy, the nature of energy is that it constantly changes. So the second step says the nature of energy is that it changes. So therefore the last step says don't get attached to it. So for example, if you were to think of an anger, right? And in words, you look at the location of your anger, whether it's in your head or whether it's in your heart. You focus on wherever the location is, and then you stop analyzing it, and you tell yourself, you focus on the anger first, and then you tell yourself, this anger is made of energy. The nature of energy is that it changes, therefore don't get attached to it. The don't get attached part is the very powerful part. That's the one that actually causes you to neutralize the anger. So when you do that, you can do that for any kind of emotions, extreme emotions like greed, fear, like lust, or whatever it is, whatever label we give to these feelings, under the hood is still energy. So you remove the label and you focus on what's under the hood, which is the reality of it, which is made of vibrations. All emotions are vibrations, and the nature of vibration is that it changes, and therefore don't get attached to it. Don't allow your feelings to take over your life. because when you do that, that's when you do things that you regret and maybe end up in jail. So the purpose of my kind of goal here is to explain that to people and to see emotions nothing but energy, so that you don't give it enough power, because the picture changing method, which is the very first method, I want to say that the technique involved in that is that when you interpret an emotion to yourself, maybe you see a picture of it. Yeah, maybe you see a picture of it. You might see that on the screen now. The steps involved. The first step is to focus on that image.
Right.
Right. So imagine you get angry, and suddenly there's a picture that comes to your mind when you get angry, about someone's face or someone, about something that's what's on the screen now, about something did. So basically, you focus on the image. The second step is to change the color. So almost every time there's some sort of color associated with this image that causes you to be angry. So change the color to your favorite color. So imagine there's a picture and you kind of covered paint over it with your favorite color. So that's the step one. To focus on the image, change the color of the image to your favorite color, and then reduce the size of the image, because most of the time the size of this picture is huge in your mind. So you're shrinking it to a size of a matchbox or maybe a dot. And when you do those things, the emotions attached to it instantly disappears.
And that's something for people to actually keep in mind. Things like fear, especially, let's say, for instance, a black dog that you're afraid of. So if your favorite color is pink, you make it look like the dog is pink and small in size, like a puppy.
That's right.
Then the entire mindset of that fear that you had in your system disappears. That's what Ranesh is trying to explain, and that's what I think a lot of people would want to have, because a lot of people fear certain things in their lives.
Exactly, they fear of spiders, snakes. Sometimes people don't even go downstairs because of spiders. So whatever that you're fearful about, focus on the image, change the color. So if you don't like the emotion, if you don't like the feeling, then you change it to your favorite color. But sometimes you become envious of something, or too greedy of something. So something of that nature, then you change the color to something dislike, right? So for example, if you get too attached to someone's car, for example, and when you think of that car, there's a picture of a car, then in that case you change the color of the car to some color that you don't like. It's not your favorite color anymore. It's because it's a dislike concept. So you change the color to some dark or dull color, and then change the size of the picture to a dot. That will get rid of the emotion instantly. So whenever there's a picture attached to your emotions, that's what you do. So that's the first method. The second method is used when you don't have a picture attached to your emotions. So imagine there's an anger inside your body, and in this case it's called the circle method. So you might see that on the screen. So in this method, you got to focus on the location of your emotion or feeling, and say if the location is in my heart, I point my finger to it. Now I got to imagine this emotion, this feeling, as smoke or a cloud. And like when you move your finger through cloud, sometimes some cloud goes with the finger. So you could attach the emotion with your mind to your finger first. So imagine I'm feeling in my heart the feeling of anger, and I touch where it is, and I slowly move my finger away, and assuming I'm visualizing that the smoke is getting attached, or the feelings getting attached to my finger, and then I'm going to circle it. I'm going to rotate it like a circle at a very high speed. And in doing that, what you're visualizing is you're actually visualizing all the emotions inside is being sucked into this circle. So if you believe that all the emotions are sucked into the circle like a vacuum cleaner or or a washing machine, right? You suck it into the circle, and then you got to flick it away. You got to flick the whole emotion away, like the most disgusting thing that you have in your hand. And so basically, when you do that, the feeling that's trapped in wherever in your body will just disappear in that moment. So the idea is, when you feel a feeling very strong, and you know the location of it, you touch where it is, and you visualize this is smoke, and then you slowly move your hand and turn into a circular motion, and then you go faster and faster and faster and faster, and then you flick it away, like the most disgusting thing. And then it actually works. It works on if you feel very emotionally, heightened, in those instances it works very well. So that's the second method. And the third method is as I said earlier, is the neutralization method. That's when you actually see the emotion for what it is, and you see the emotion as an energy. It doesn't matter what name you give it, what label you give it, whether it's envy, disgust, hate, lust, anger, fear. All these are energy. If you remove the label and look under the hood of the emotion, it's made of energy. And energy, the nature of energy is that it's vibration. And the nature of vibration, it changes. So therefore you tell yourself, don't get attached to these changing vibrations. And then when the emotion goes away, then logically you can reason and you can analyze the problem and give a solution without the emotion. Because when we act in anger, it's often the wrong results, right? So that's the idea. And I want to actually tell people that these are tools that you can use whenever, they will depend on the circumstance, depending on the type of emotion. So if you see, like if you feel anger or envy kind of feeling, then tell yourself, ask yourself, is there emotion attached to this? If there's emotion, and is there a picture attached to this? If there's a picture, then you change the color, and then you change the size, and it goes. If not, you use the circle method. You basically touch on the location, and then imagine it's a smoke, and then you bring it to your surface, into the circle, and throw it away. If that doesn't work, then try the neutralization method, seeing the emotion for what it is, nothing more than it, what it is. So that's pretty much the three methods. And I want to also mention about beliefs, because everything we do is based on a belief. Sometimes we have beliefs that are positive and negative, because all the beliefs that drives our actions weren't created by us. They were taught to us by our education system, society, parents, and our own experiences. So sometimes if you want to achieve something, like maybe achieve great health, go to the gym, right? Simple things like go to the gym. When you want to go to the gym, your mind says, it has a conflicting values or beliefs related to that. So, it's too tiring, or it's not easy, or it's boring, or whatever. And then these things are causing you to pull back, right? That's because you have conflicting values and beliefs about whatever you want to do. So you've got to challenge those beliefs and values, because if they're negative, if they're not aligned with where you want to go, then you're not congruent. You won't actually get supported by your inner thought, because your unconscious mind is so powerful that if it has a conflicting values or beliefs, it always wins. It doesn't matter how much determination you have to achieve it. Your unconscious mind always wins. So make sure your unconscious mind is programmed with positive beliefs and values in whatever you're aiming to do. Because human beings are great in the sense, when you focus, you can send people to the moon. So being focused is very important.
And something that I'd like to ask you, Ranesh, because a lot of people talk about NLP and there's criticism towards it as well. How do we overcome this problem?
Well, it's through personal experience. So these techniques I told you, there's no side effects. If you use it, if it works for you, use it, and then teach someone else. And I don't think there's any TV program that actually taught people in the mass audience these simple techniques. So my aim in doing that is to prevent people from doing things that they regret, hurting someone because they get angry, they feel so fearful that they can't even do things that are basic to their life. I want to get rid of that emotion and give them support to move forward in their life. And ultimately, I want to prevent people, doing things that they regret and going to jail. Because if you look at all the people in prison today, it's because they couldn't control their emotions, whether their lust or their anger, their fear, or their greed. So I want to basically give the tools to people at a mass audience level, so that they can use these tools and create a life that they deserve, which is an extraordinary life. Everyone deserves that. And I want to actually tell people that when you talk about beliefs, it's not where you're coming from, it's where you're going that matters. It's very important, because our society is very good at putting people down, and I want to challenge those beliefs and values and help each other, because as a nation, if you want to rise, we have to help each other. You can't put people down. So it's only by helping each other to do better that we help as a society, as a country, as a nation. So if you want to get rid of poverty, change the mindset, because the rich mentality and the poor mentality is basically where you think. If you want to be rich, it's all start in the mind. If you want to be poor, it's also start in the mind. So if you copy what your neighbor has, you will probably likely have what they have. But if you look at a society as a whole, most people aren't rich. Less than 1% is rich in the world. So most people thinking isn't in the right direction. So always don't compete with others. Compete with yourself, with your progress. And that's a very fundamental message I want to put to all the parents. I have a beautiful daughter, Isini, and I always tell her to compete with yourself. And that's the only way you catapult your progress. And I also want to get out there that if you want to take charge in your life, break your life into these 5 areas. First one is health. Second is relationship. Third is education. Fourth is finances. And fifth is spirituality. Everyone's life can be broken into these 5 areas. Health is number 1, because without that you can't do anything, right? So you have to set goals on your terms in all of these 5 areas. And everything you do daily must be towards achieving one of those goals. That way, you won't have time to waste, right? Your life will automatically catapult into a different quality of life. The friends you associate are automatically changing because you're going on a journey and you don't have time to stop and chat, right? So if you want to be successful in life, don't copy others. Learn from the best. If you want to know about finances, study people who are financially wealthy, right? Billionaires today start with nothing. There are inspirational stories. And if you want to learn about health, get a personal coach, right? Go to a gym and push yourself. And that's the only way to grow. Everything in life must grow, including human emotion. Otherwise it dies. Because for some reason people knew that when they were young, and they go to university and maybe A level and O level, and then after this they stop studying. Studying is for life. If you want to grow in life, you must develop mentally in the area of health, finances, relationships, spiritual, right? Education applies to all of these areas. Because people who are rich, they're not happy because they have everything done for them on time. The whole world is kind of revolved around what they want, but they're not spiritually rich. That's why meditation is very important. Meditation creates that balance, the inner peace. So I want to kind of highlight this and give the tools and give food for thought for people. Think differently, because what you have today is based on what you learn, what you know. So if you want something new, learn something new, isn't it? Otherwise, how can you expect a different results? So always keep growing, keep expanding, and only get what works for you. Yeah, don't just copy everything because it looks cool, or you know, and learn about different ways of, you know, like finding an income as well. Because in our society we believe that you know, everything must be done by their parents or the government or someone else. We need to take responsibility for our future, our life, no one else. And only then you will be motivated to study for a better future. If you're waiting for someone to do things for you, you're not motivated, because you're hoping someone does, and you always get disappointed. Because in Sri Lanka, there's over 300,000 students who studies for A levels and O levels. Only 20,000-30,000 get to university. What's going to happen to the rest, right? So my advice to them is learn English, learn about internet and YouTube. On YouTube you can learn free things, you know, free ways to whatever subject you want to expand, you can learn on a free. You don't need to go to tuition classes, right? And I advise all the kids who are into these Facebook and, you know, all these gadgets to study mobile app development. You see, everyone has a mobile phone these days, but they use it for the wrong things. You got to use that to create money for your future. So you can learn about mobile app development without computer programming, and search on YouTube for computer programming or mobile app development without coding, and start developing apps. And that's, you know, that's one way to make money. It doesn't matter wherever you are. Anyone can do this, whether you have money or not. So I want to create a rich society. And in closing, I want to say that I want everyone to use some of these techniques, allow these kind of ideas to ignite your passion, you know, to grow in life and contribute. Everyone in life must contribute, otherwise what's the point? You must help each other to grow. And may everyone have a wonderful life and live with passion.
And that's true, Ranesh. I think a lot of people would have taken something out of it. What's important is that life is about energy. Everything that we do, even life itself, is about energy. So having that positive energy is what Ranesh is trying to inculcate. Try and get it into your system. Whenever you have, when you have to face something that you feel you fear about, you're angry about, try and pause and try and get that out of your system and take something positive that will help you in your life. And that's what Ranesh has done right along. And we got to thank Ranesh for sharing his expertise with us, something a lot of people would hopefully going forward take something out of into their own systems and move forward. And thanks a lot for being with us, Ranesh, and wishing you all the very best in your future endeavors as well. And that's it for us on the Thursday edition of Rise and Shine. See you same time, same place tomorrow as well. It's bye-bye from us.